the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Soup News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Soup News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Soup News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Soup News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Soup News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souk Enlightenment.
Hello and welcome this lovely Wednesday morning to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about something which is affecting those of us investing in cryptocurrency. So, crypto trading platform Binance has advised Nigerians trading on its exchange to withdraw all their Nigerian Naira assets as it discontinues services in the country. Now, the reason for this decision is that the crypto platform is accused of manipulating the currency, leading to a fall against some of our foreign currencies like the dollar, like the pound sterling. As you've noticed in recent times, our Nigerian Naira selling against the dollar is quite high. So some of its executives are currently being detained by the Nigerian government. In addition, the company said it will no longer accept Naira deposits from Tuesday, 5th March, adding that Nigerians have until March 8th to withdraw their assets. Binance said any assets not withdrawn by that date will be converted to USDT. Against this backdrop, the Nigerian commodity market, which comprises of derivatives of energy products and agricultural products, precious metals, and also currency, is experiencing a surge in trading volumes, which also reflects growing investor interest in diversifying their portfolios. So now, against this backdrop of the ban on Binance, we're going to be discussing on today's show how it will affect the commodity markets and the economy in Nigeria. So join us after the break.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Sook News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Sook News.
So I'm happy that Sook TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Sook News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Sook News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Sook News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Zook News.
Keep watching Sook News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Sook News.
Welcome back. My guest this morning is Kenneth Chukwu Nwako. He has over 5 years experience in project and product management with an extensive background in fintech. Welcome to Market Insight, Kenneth Chukwu.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so during my introduction, I mentioned how the ban on Binance might affect the commodity market. So I'm going to be discussing that with my guest, Kenneth Chukwu. But before we get right into it now, I would like to know, what is the profit of Binance to those of us who have invested in this cryptocurrency?
Right, thank you for that question. So the profit of Binance, I think looking at Binance, Binance is a global, really much the biggest cryptocurrency platform with some big liquidity, followed by FTX and then a couple of other guys. Well, last year we saw FTX go down due to liquidity allegations, then being able to fulfill liquidity requests by their users, and the CEO of FTX is currently in jail, SBF, I think that's his name. And Binance, on the other hand, is like the leader in this space. Pretty much the P2P thing started like 2019 when the former central bank governor, Governor Emefiele, created a ban on banking services for crypto businesses. So crypto businesses had to create an alternative for their users. It's pretty much a loss leader for them because they're not really making any money from it. But it was just a way to make sure that users are not inhibited by this ban. That's pretty much it.
Okay, but prior to the ban, there were a lot of people actually making some profits from investing in this particular cryptocurrency.
Oh yes, so cryptocurrencies on Binance. Binance is a chain that offers so much liquidity. So you can buy from your Bitcoin to your Ethereum, stable coins like USDT, USDC, and also like even their own token, BNB. So what happened is they introduced their own NGN pair, which they paired against the USDT, and that's pretty much what was powering the P2P market. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm sure you heard recently in the news how, due to the fluctuation, or rather due to the high increase of our foreign exchange against the naira, in terms of when the naira is buying the dollar or when the naira is selling the dollar, the figures are quite high. So recently, the Nigerian government invited 2 executives from Binance to actually explain what's leading to this. And due to this situation, I'm sure you also heard in the news that they were held and their passports were also seized and a fine was imposed on them, because according to the special advisor Bayo Onanuga, he stated that it's because of the investments in Binance that they're causing this high exchange rate with our foreign currency. So how would you think before this situation, yes, even as of last year, we've been experiencing the high rates, the high foreign exchange rates. So how do you think the Nigerian government would have benefited profitably from the use of Binance? Yes, we know it's just an investment for cryptocurrency users, but in other uses, actually, we haven't really started transactions in Binance, actually. How do you think the government would have benefited from this before the situation came up?
Thank you for that question. So Binance was helping to fill up a big liquidity gap that existed in the market, right? The central bank, I mean, this year we found out that they could not meet up with obligations. I think it was last year. They couldn't meet up with obligations of people that had put down money to get like foreign exchange for legit businesses, right? And some of them had gone into like from the parallel markets to even like the secondary markets, and then turned into even crypto alternatives. And that's pretty much what's like contributed to this. So Binance was filling that space. So I'm a basic trade guy. I want to make an importation from China. I go to the bank. My banks can't sell to me, but they can buy from me. And then I go to the Malams. They don't have up to what I need. So I go to Binance, a P2P platform. I convert my Naira to USDT, and I'm able to send that money to my supplier in China, and also like get my goods delivered. So Binance pretty much created that platform for them, and even a lot of other people. The other use cases were in terms of hedge. There was a lot of demand for USD as against the rapid devaluation of the Naira. I mean, last year Nigeria was like 3rd in like rank for devalued currency, I think after Argentina and Lebanon, which was really unfortunate. And that's what has driven people to also seek alternatives to like hedge the currency. And that's what the Nigerian government was pretty much benefiting from it, because it reduced the pressure on the system. But it also led to some negative things, which we can discuss further.
Okay, yes. We also know that recently you've seen how the Naira has been falling against the dollar, actually, and it's not slowing down at any time soon, even both with the official Central Bank of Nigerian rates and the unofficial rates, the parallel market rates too. So how can, because with this accusation and pretty much the fact that permit me to say that the Binance executives also said that every Nigerian trading on their platform has to convert, or they lose all their assets, actually. Now this, I'm quite sure that most people might say, oh, that's why they're telling Nigerians to leave their platform, because it's true what the government said. Don't you think it's also flowing in that narrative, actually?
So the main issue for P2P was, before, if you remember last year, Aboki FX was pretty much, or during the last regime, the central bank went after Aboki FX because of manipulation, currency manipulation and all that, right? And Aboki FX was pretty much had programmable interfaces that they supplied to different fintech apps to get like secondary rates from, right? And that was pretty much the base of the market. So when the central bank went after Aboki FX went off, and people had to find other alternatives. And that was where Binance came up, right? So most of the platforms go to Binance and they look at the P2P rates and they use that to derive the rates on their platform, maybe add some markup to hedge against like movements, but that's what they've done. And that was one of some of the bad things that central bank could see in terms of, and then they have like, how it works is a peer-to-peer market. So I have USDT, I want to sell, I put it at any price I like Binance doesn't limit me. Right, so I can sell at 700 today, and I can wake up tomorrow, I sell at 800. right? And the dollar just keeps going up based on that. And so what we saw at the peak, as in at the beginning of this saga, was Binance trying to step in, right? They're like, oh, like this looks like a lot of currency manipulation. So they try to limit how much people that want to sell could put their currencies for. So for example, if you put your currencies for, I think at some point they limited it to 1.8, and then it started going down to 1.7. I think that was when they started trying to work with the Nigerian government. And then I think they wanted to have further discussions, and that's why they flew in the executives. Yes. And then they were arrested. And the federal government made other demands they needed a list of...
a fine of $10 billion.
Yeah, so the fine, and then they also requested a list of a list of all the Nigerians that are involved in Binance and stuff like that. Yeah, so the fine was coming.
So it pretty much looks like, yes, even though maybe at the beginning it must have been maybe a good start, maybe, okay, yes, we want to help out with this country's current currency exchange rates, let me see how we can help them stabilize it. But in the long run, it has changed from that. Yeah. Don't you think so, actually? It has actually changed from that narrative. Yeah,
so the thing is, there are a lot of allegations. So there's the other parts of money laundering, right? Yes, so we don't really, I mean, if you understand the way blockchain works, as in the transactions, yes, the platforms try to do KYC, right? So you come in, you sign up with your ID, local ID and stuff like that. But in terms of anti-money laundering, just like the way we have it in the financial services, it doesn't exist in the crypto space, which is, oh, I'm a financial institution, I'm a P2P or an IMTO, right? I have to report my transactions to the central bank every month. So individuals transacting above 5 million naira is reported to the central bank, and the EFCC can dive into it if they want to see that. And then businesses transacting over a particular amount, so same thing. But you don't have any of that in crypto. So what can happen is that someone can go there and he might be a kidnapper, he might be a fraudulent person, and he's able to move big volumes of money without any sanctions or anything. And even people on this global sanctions list can move money through some of these channels, and they will get away with it. And so that's really where the central bank is now coming from in terms of dropping the hammer on Binance.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, but in response, Binance has also said that the foreign exchange rates are influenced by various complex factors which they had no influence on. Yes, I understand what you have said, but do you really agree with that? Because you also said there are some negative influences that caused this. So can we just look at those things right now?
So yes, like I mentioned, the P2P rates were pretty much used as a hedge. So think of what Abuki FX was doing in the previous government, right? And I mean, there are two prongs to attack the foreign currency issues, which is, facing the other net exports and all, but then there's also the limiting side, which is what the central bank has been turning to so far, right? Which is deal with Abuki FX, and they're now doing with these guys. So typically, if you go to the NAFEM rates, I mean, there are only people that have access, very few people that have access to that window. So you need another secondary market, and everyone needs a way to know exactly what the current rates are and how to price them. And so Binance filled that space. As much as they say they weren't doing that, but I mean, it's a platform, so people can always pick that data at every point in time. I can go to Binance website every day and check the average rates and just write a script that pings that rates for me and adds a 20% or 10% markup, and I list it on my platform. So Binance created that hedge, and that was one of the negative influences that central bank is trying to push back on and stand against.
Okay, so now we have actually outlined that, but in terms of the trading commodities, actually, we've noticed that, yes, I mentioned during the introduction that it will lead to also more foreign investors actually coming up to actually invest in the market. But do you really think that this ban on Binance will decrease the volume of commodities in the commodities markets in Nigeria, in terms of trading agricultural products, energy products, and other precious metals, actually?
I don't think it will reduce. I think because of people are looking for more hedges, right? People will turn to those platforms. I mean, I was having an informal discussion with someone on there, and I was like, as much as you can buy dollars and hedge or crypto or Binance, you can also buy a bag of rice and keep it, right? And you come tomorrow and you go to the market, how much the bag of rice is moved, right? It's also a way to hedge. So even though some of those things are perishable, we'll say like precious metals that are stable, like gold, staying put, and a lot of people like looking for other alternatives to like hedge, and that's what we'll see. I don't think like the ban. I think in terms of like regulatory landscape, the approach of the government is sort of questionable because like those executives came for. Yeah, they came with a good intention. Binance has cooperated almost everywhere. I mean, the US, they paid a $4.3 billion fine, right? And the CEO stepped down and is going to most likely be arraigned for some of the issues, some of the money laundering issues that they went down for. So I think that approach might also have some impact, some negative impact, but I don't see it like being like very significant.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so how do you think this ban will affect the liquidity of the commodity markets in Nigeria?
So I think there will be a lot more demand for commodities as people turn to like other assets to hedge against like inflation. I think inflation was around 29%. Yeah. So people will turn to like other assets to like hedge. I think in terms of, I mean, there's also the argument of a lot more economic productivity to like provide more like of these commodities, but I mean, it's slowly picking up, but we'll see how it goes within the year. So.
Okay, so do you think this ban on Binance will cause Nigerians to switch to other, yes, most likely they will switch to other cryptocurrency platforms actually to trade in commodities actually? Absolutely. So, yeah. I mean, I've been following this question for a while. People are trying out different platforms. I mean, we spoke about Binance being number one. There's FTX that was number two that went down. There's also FTX is down right now.
Yeah, it's gone. Like no one got their money out, right? But yes. Like there's also Coinbase. There are a bunch of other guys. I'm not sure if they're operating in the market right now, but there are a bunch of other guys, and it also gives an opportunity to local players. So there are local players that would step into this. I think the question will now be around, okay, how much liquidity can you fulfill? And like, is your platform secure? Do we also have like the global governance structure that Binance offer to people that made a lot of people to trade on Binance? Those would be the questions that people will have. I saw people trying out Telegram. Telegram apparently is also very heavy on the blockchain, and they also have like a P2P wallet feature where you can like trade. So yes. We would see what that looks like. On Telegram app, yes,
the
exactly.
Telegram Premium, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, that's very true actually. Okay, so what other alternative ways can Nigerians trade in the commodities markets actually, especially with this ban, since yes, we know Binance is no longer available, but if, like you rightfully said, they can explore those other platforms, but something more, yes, we know all these cryptocurrency platforms, they will all say they are very legal. In other parts of the world, I'm sure you've noticed that people can use them to trade with more physical items, not just...
Is going, everything NGN on Binance is going. What would happen is you would just see USDT, you would see all the other currencies available, and you'll be able to like right now, Bitcoin just got his all-time high like yesterday, and it's a real bull run. There's a lot of surge in like the crypto market. A lot of people are trying to log into their wallets that they haven't opened in 2 years. Coinbase had a crash because of this a couple of days back. And so people are just trying to like swap currencies. But I think people can still, Binance is not completely leaving. They're just taking off the pair. Maybe we might see more developing news like in the coming days, but they're just taking off the Naira pair and converting all the existing Naira assets to USDT. That's all they're doing.
Okay, I think it's very straightforward. Okay, Thank you so much for that, Kenneth Chukwu. So after the break, we're going to discuss further with Kenneth Chukwu how Nigerians can diversify investment in other crypto platforms, on other cryptocurrency channels rather. Stay tuned, please.
The National Theatre, Igomu, built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, FESTAC, in 1977. The theatre holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland. The National Theatre is packed with the artworks of a legendary contemporary Nigerian artist, stained glass walls by Yusuf Grillo, sculptures and murals by Lamidi Fakeye, Erabo Emopai, and many others. It was put to full use for a month as one of the 4 venues of the second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, tagged Festac 77. The complex hosted 16,000 participants from 56 African countries and the diaspora in an unprecedented showcase of African music, fine art, literature, drama, dance, and religion. The National Art Theatre was built and designed by Techno Experts Troll, a Bulgarian company mirroring the Palace of Culture and Sports in Varna, Bulgaria. Completed in 1976, the building is one of the largest and most beautiful of its kind on the African continent. It consists of a central hall with 5,000 seats, a collapsible stage that can be quickly rebuilt, a conference hall with 1,600 seats, 2 large exhibition halls, and 2 cinemas with 800 seats each. The theater complex has a dressing room for artists, a garage, offices, coffee bars, and a buffet. It has indoor TV and radio systems, as well as booths with facilities for simultaneous translation of languages and hectares of lush green lawn around. The majestic structure sits in Igomu like a quiet mountain, mesmerizing visitors and passers-by. The National Theatre. Souk Enlightenment. The heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
Welcome back. So I'm still right here with my guest, Kenneth Chukwu Nwakwo, who is a fintech expert, and we're also talking about how the ban on Binance will affect the commodities market. So yes, so going further, actually, we know that there's going to be an immediate effect of this ban on Binance on investors in Nigeria. So how will this dynamics actually structure the crypto markets, actually? Because we know that this is going to extend to other cryptocurrencies. How is it going to structure the crypto markets in Nigeria?
So what I see is, I mean, this is pretty much that interaction between regulatory and innovation, right? So in every market, we see that innovation always outpaces regulation, right? Even in the US, I mean, now we see a lot of institutional investors coming into crypto, just like BlackRock, like Goldman. A lot of them are launching like Bitcoin, crypto ETFs, not like necessarily just the assets, but just ETFs for people. And with those guys coming in, what that would mean is that a lot more spotlight, there's a lot more visibility would go into crypto. And I think that's what also like contributed to some of the issues that Binance had in the US. Now, here in Nigeria, I see what I potentially see is like some form of regulation. I think we don't know what that's going to be. They have like some other like non-governmental organizations that are also like advocating for cryptocurrencies in Nigeria. Ahead of CBAN and a couple of other people that are already collaborating with the government on this. But that's what we see. We don't know how it's going to be structured. I mean, there are a lot of regulatory documents that we expect from the central bank on different innovative spaces, but crypto might probably get a priority after this.
So there are going to be potential systemic consequences, most of which might be on the negative side. That's what you're actually saying.
So not really. I think regulation is good. I think it's very important. I think innovation and regulation should work together. I think when it's more of like hammer over creativity, that's when it now becomes like very inhibitive. But I think they should work together, because think of even the banking sector. Back in the days, was pretty much like an innovative space. But then we had, a lot of the banks that folded, people lost their monies, and then the NDIC was formed up, right? So we need those kind of guardrails and structures to some of these fintech innovations, and just to protect people and also protect the economy. So yeah.
Okay, but I'm quite sure you've noticed actually there's this trend with cryptocurrency, especially for first-time investors. When they go into it, they're not too sure of how the platform works, and then you've heard of cases where people get scammed of their monies. You've heard of cases where people say, oh, I invested, and then the platform is actually using their profile in another country actually, and then they will report. Yes, there were actually cases like that, and they have reported, and then nothing seems to be done. So doesn't it move on to that fact that the special advisor to the president also said that these cryptocurrency platforms are they perpetrate scams on the internet more than they're doing any good in investments?
So, I mean, I think like the platform, one of the things that platforms like Binance boast of is extreme, like real security, right? Bank-grade security, right? So that's like the first thing. So in terms of the bad actors, we see that in like P2P, right? That's what the P2P introduces, because you're not necessarily dealing with the crypto company, you're dealing with another person, right? So, some people like Renault made allegations of people listing ads that were fake just to drive the price up. So I put a request for $1 million, and I don't really want to buy it. It's just there to drive. It's an ad, and people think like, oh, I'm there to buy or I'm there to sell, and it just drives up the demand side of it. And then you have people that, oh, we've agreed that, oh, you're going to sell me $100 at this rate, and then I send you the money, and then you don't release the crypto. So you have those kind of like things. But Binance also like introduced systems for like reporting those kind of accounts. They block some people like that, and so on and so forth. For the one of using accounts in other countries, I haven't really heard of that. But being a beginner in crypto, what happens is typically, I mean, you don't know what to put your money in. So you see some of the smaller coins, like Dodge or some of those other coins that people say, oh, they move very rapidly, and you need to be actively in the market for you to be able to make some profit of that and even understand technical analysis. But if you don't, you might be cut off in a win. So there might be a high, maybe Elon Musk tweets something, Dodge will go to the moon, and then before you get a wind of it, it's down back, and you're the one making the loss. So those are some of the issues that new crypto people had or have.
Okay, so don't you think there needs to be more awareness on the advantages of using these cryptocurrency platforms for first-time users? And also in terms of our foreign exchange rates, don't you think people need to be more aware? Because these days you hear the average Nigerian, because of that report that was given in the media, saying, oh yes, because of these things, in fact they actually term it what's the illegal trade that Yahoo boys engage in actually. So they say, oh yes, keep them until they pay us our money. Let them, don't release them. That's in regards to the Binance executives. Yes, they're the ones responsible for the increase in the foreign exchange rates, because that's what you hear the average Nigerian saying. So don't you think there needs to be more awareness, more, if I'm allowed to say, more education on how this cryptocurrency platform actually works for first-time users? Yeah,
absolutely. I think like that's what platforms like this is doing, just educating people on like how these platforms work and how like this impacts like the economy, right? So the first thing is for the dollar rates, maybe to an extent, because they provided like a secondary rates source, right? But even with that secondary rates source gone, right, we would now see whether they were actually the problem. But there are two sides to it, and that's like the most important thing, right, is we need to have net exports, right, where we import more than we export, right? Yes. So we don't even earn enough dollars as an economy to even like foot some of these like requests, legit requests. Talk less of now the people that are doing like just hedging, right? And that's pretty much what like the government needs to like work towards. Like, how can we export more? How can we also, like, there's some of the commodities that like they're really expensive, like locally produced stuff, more expensive than importing, right? So you see those kind of things and you're just like wondering like how is that happening? And there's campaigns to like encourage people to like buy locally produced stuff, but it's more expensive. Like look at cement, for example. Cement went to 15K, yes. Right? And people were like, you know, after the minister had said, oh, we're going to do more concrete roads, I was really like happy about that, and then all of a sudden the price became ridiculous. So we want to, you know, let people, you know, platforms like this are just there to help people to understand this, the main issues and like how they all like relate, because they're sort of like linked. They're sort of like linked to each other. So that's just really what this platform is. Binance also created like when they launched P2P and they launched some of these things, they have an academy, right? Okay. So there's an academy on their website where you can like learn about like, oh, like crypto, how it works on the platform, and like how like what the checks and balances they put in place. I think like other platforms have the same, and even like just YouTube as well, you might be able to like find out like some other infos about this.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but okay, going further actually, in the broader tech context of blockchain technology, now how could Binance's decision influence the integration of other blockchain solutions in various sectors within Nigeria actually, and especially with regard to our commodities markets actually? You know, I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, so I don't really think so. I mean, it might create some caution, right, in terms of how people use, but blockchain itself is a much bigger technology than cryptocurrencies, right? So it's a ledger system. Think of it like your everyday ledger, right? But it's a decentralized ledger, so everyone has a piece of that ledger, and if anything is tampered with, the system will autocorrect itself, and that's pretty much just what this thing, blockchain is. We have innovative solutions like companies in the ecosystem that are switching transactions using blockchain, like Zone, right? We have supply chain companies also like maintaining some of their transactions on the blockchain. We have some, we also have digital storage. So like for land, I mean the land registry, so storage of like certified true copies on the blockchain and certificates and stuff like that. Those are some of the innovative like use cases for like the blockchain, and there's still more, right, apart from cryptocurrencies. So I don't think, you know, Binance, I mean, this is pretty much relating to like finance, right? Binance, cryptocurrencies. But then blockchain on its own as a tech is a lot more encompassing, and I don't think it would have any effect on like the adoption of blockchain, except if it's related to financial services.
Okay, so are there opportunities for the development of a more localized crypto ecosystem in Nigeria, actually? Because we know that these things are from other countries coming into Nigeria, and then most young people, actually, if you've noticed in recent times, are more invested in this platform. So are there opportunities for a more localized crypto ecosystem in Nigeria, actually? That's what I want to know. How can this contribute to our economic growth in the country? That's what I want to know.
Oh, definitely. I mean, great. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for that. I mean, number one and number two globally are pretty much docile in the country. And so the main challenge that local guys, there are a lot of local platforms, local coins or tokens. There's Patricia, right? They were there before, but like they had like, we all know what happened to them.
Patricia, I heard recently that they were having some issues.
Yeah, they had issues, right? So those are the issues. Those are some of the things that like really like dissuade people from like local platforms, which is security.
It was under the fact that it was a fraudulent. So
their cold wallet was hacked. Right, and you know, those kind of issues are really like, security is one of the biggest concerns when it comes to like financial services and, you know, crypto and exchanges. And any local player that's going to play in that space would have to tackle that head on first, and then gain the trust of the people. Because even generally, people feel like, oh, this guy is like a Patricia. Why am I? Do you understand? So that's the first thing you'd see. So there's already that sentiment in the market already, and anyone that's going to play in that place would need to like, you know, clear up that sentiment. And I think there's opportunities for them, but like I said, the first challenge they'll have is security. Second challenge will be liquidity. So they need to be able to foot those liquidity demands that Binance was able to foot, and that's not, it's not an easy thing to come by. So yeah, that's what I think. But I think there are
so
opportunities.
how can they actually fill those? These are very big shoes that they're going to fill that Binance took over. So how can they fulfill that liquidity space? How can they take over from where? Because there's going to be a vacancy after Binance goes. So how can they fill that space?
So I don't think so. I mean, I don't think Binance is going. I think that's also something to correct. I don't think they are going.
But in the Nigerian space, the Nigerian
just taking off the NGN pair. I mean, but then in terms of going, I don't think they are going. I doubt that they're going.
Okay.
But we'll learn about it in the coming days. Maybe they would. I don't know. But there's also partnerships with platforms like Binance. Binance also offers APIs and stuff like that other platforms can plug into to make liquidity easy. So think of even the companies here that offer ability to buy foreign stocks. It's the same thing. So they have a brokerage agreement and they can also like fill up those liquidities. Typically, they will have to find some strategic partnerships to help them to fulfill that. Because I don't think, and this is one of the arguments that people make about the volumes that move through Binance, right? The everyday Nigerian, we already know what the poverty rate in Nigeria is. The everyday Nigerian,
very high because of our high inflation.
The everyday Nigerian cannot. I doubt that the everyday Nigerian moved 26 trillion, or 26 billion as claimed by the central bank. But we're open to. I'm still like following the news to make sure that we understand how they arrived at those numbers, right? And so the question would be, where do they get the volumes from for everyday Nigerians and so on and so forth. So partnerships would really be helpful for local platforms that want to fill those shoes. Absolutely.
Okay, and how will this contribute to economic growth and more financial inclusion with the use of these crypto trading platforms actually? In terms of if you want to buy stocks in the capital market and also if you want to participate on the Nigerian commodities market also, like how will this promote economic growth and financial inclusion?
So I think the first thing would be, having a local player that can stand the test of time would also be important. So we see like some other African countries that have some crypto startups out of there that are really doing well in the African space. So if we have one of that from like our country that's doing very well and is able to like play across the market, it would really bring some like prosperity. They're going to hire people, they're going to pay out monies, they're going to pay taxes. They're also going to, I think there will also be a more collaborative effort from them and the government, just like they've had with Binance because they're locals. In terms of commodities, what that would mean is, we're already seeing the rates of the exchange rate going down, and I think it'll be helpful for.
The exchange rate's actually going up.
Yeah, so because of the recent announcement from Binance, right? Yes. It was 5.15 something, and then it went to like 1.6. Yeah, but typically the trend over the past weeks has been like downward, so we would continue to watch. But in the commodities market, I think like there will be also an increase in like people looking for alternatives, alternative investment sources, and also like alternative hedge against inflation. So that's definitely what we'll see, and it will lead to more productivity. So once there's a lot more interest in that space, maybe more farmers, more people might get more investors to increase more productivity in the economy, and it can lead to like more prosperity.
Okay, I understand what you have just said, Kenneth Chukwu. Yes, it will lead to more productivity in the country. But looking ahead, actually, what do you anticipate in terms of regulatory framework for crypto holders? Yes, you mentioned that Central Bank of Nigeria will definitely come down hard on other crypto users, people using other platforms apart from Binance, other, like you mentioned, the Tucoin and other cryptocurrency platforms. Like, how can stakeholders collaboratively work towards a balanced and conducive environment for crypto users in Nigeria?
Yeah, thanks. So I think like the central bank will typically, move towards that path. For now it's just a dissuade and command strategy right now, but they will move towards regulation, right? We've seen a lot of notes and announcement from central bank since the exchange rate went up, and it's almost like they're a startup pushing out documentation almost every day. almost every day, right? The work rate of the central bank governor is extremely commendable, right, for that. But I also see that, I see things like, Bank of Ghana has something called like a fintech sandbox, right, where they encourage like people that are playing along the lines where there's no regulatory to come and register. So there's visibility. That's the first thing. I think one of the mistakes that the previous government made was to chase away the visibility, which is, oh, any transaction that's done in the financial ecosystem that has crypto, block the account, right? But visibility is important for regulation. So for regulation. So once there's that visibility, they understand how the space works, understand how it plays, and then they're able to formulate the right kind of policies to regulate that space. So I see something like a virtual assets service provider license coming up soon. And I mean, in the United States, I think they also have another band of that license, like related to the SEC. And I think like the SEC will also play a part in what we would have here. We'll just look at what it would be in the coming days and what the minimum requirements would be for those licenses, just like they did for the BTCs, and how it will work. So definitely something will come up, but players in the ecosystem need to work with the government to create that framework, and that's where I see organizations like CBAN and a couple of other organizations coming up to collaborate with the government to make sure that there's a standard thing that's beneficial to everyone and not just a very strict regulatory landscape.
Okay, I'm sure you have noticed that in the international community, actually, cryptocurrency is really popular there. It's used to actually make purchases on items if you're going shopping or with other transactions that you want to do, whether it's minimal things or very large quantities or whatever items you want. Now, how do you think the international community will perceive Nigeria's handling of the situation with Binance? And what other lessons do you think we can actually draw from this this new situation that just came up, actually?
Yeah, I think it sends a bitter taste to the international community, right? Having people come or delegates come to negotiate and then they're captured, right? It doesn't send a very good taste to them. And this is coming right at the back where, after the government just introduced a 15K charge for expatriates in the country. It just seems like a very hostile approach, and we're already ranking very low in ease of doing business, and we don't know what that would be. You're
saying that foreign investors might perceive this as Nigeria not welcoming them into the country, and they might decide to pull back from coming in to bring in their business. Absolutely.
There might be a slowdown, right? Because it just seems like, except if you, because think of it foreign investors, if you put sugar here, and ants would come. Yes. Right? So you don't need to, you just need the right policies. You don't need to, but then some of these instances just make, especially approach, because approach is important, right? In terms of the fine, Binance was fined in the US, they cooperated with government, they're going to pay the fine, they agreed to pay the fine, right? But then the approach of detaining executives that were not, I think was really wrong. I think it's something that we can learn from, in terms of approach, some collaboration, but also in terms of the fine. How they arrived at the fine, I don't know, because, it's a lot of money. That's the first thing. We could really use that money.
Yes, we
could really use that money,
That's
right?
why you hear the average Nigerian say, oh yes, they should keep them in the country until they pay that fine.
Yeah, but, I don't know what the settlements would be. I see a fine that would range around 2 billion, because, if you look at...
The fine was $10 billion.
I know it's 10, but I see them finalizing for a 2, because if you look at Binance revenues, 2013 or 2012, no, 2022 or 23, I think it was 12 billion. That's their revenue as a company. So you find them 10 billion, it's just really hard.
So it's
it's just really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. In the US, they find them 4.
4. Okay, yeah. So definitely they're going to reach a settlement.
They're going to reach a compromise on that fine, definitely.
Okay, and what lessons do you think other nations can draw from these developments in terms of balancing innovation and creating more regulatory bodies to monitor how we can use these cryptocurrency platforms, actually?
Yeah, I think in innovation in general, I think there needs to be a lot more collaboration with innovators and the regulators. I think every day in fintech space, everyone talks about Friday, how they dread Friday, because you might just wake up or about to close on Friday and central bank will drop a memo, and then everyone is running around, right? And those are some of the things that, if there were a lot more collaborations, we will not have those kind of surprise memos, because a lot of people in the ecosystem will be aware.
Communication between the CBN and these fintech regulators.
Yeah, I think fintech companies, there might be some breaking communications, because they just, sometimes it's a surprise, right? And so that kind of collaboration will really be important, right? Having a think tank in terms of maybe a fintech association that are pretty much in the know of some of these things before they come out. And also, I think Ghana's template is something I always recommend, right? Having that sandbox environment. Everyone that's a player in this space register with our sandbox, right? Let's see what you are doing. Let's have visibility. Then together we can work to like create like regulation. But then there are a lot of people. I mean, people start companies here. They don't really know what the regulatory landscape is like. Oh, let me get an MFB. Oh, let me get a PSSP license. They just try to just grab as much as possible. So when the central bank comes to them, they're like, hey, I have some licenses, but they don't really know where they should play, right? But that kind of sandbox environment where like innovation can happen and the central bank has visibility over those innovations would like help to guide like how these regulations are formed and in a collaborative manner.
Okay, and then you also know there's the on the streets actually there's this average Nigerian mentality that anything cryptocurrency or Binance or blockchain, it has to do with Yahoo. Also that notion, it has not changed years and years gone by actually.
Yeah,
this
so I
is
think
the 21st century, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of things to do with like, I mean, blockchain technology is pretty much referred to like as the dark web, sort of, right? Even outside the country, right? Because some of the transactions, the ledgers are visible, right? But you have to do a lot of work to like find them, right? And that's what like regulation coming into that space will do, right? So anti-money laundering, terrorism financing, those are the things that regulations will like first tackle in that space. And then the average Nigerians will know, like, because there are people that work abroad, there are people that work for foreign companies in Nigeria, right? If I operate a dumb account, it might not really work for me, right? I might just open a Binance account and say, hey, here's my wallet address, pay me. Same thing. So it's the same thing. So you have a lot more people selling, right, than even actually buying in some of those exchanges. So it's just really some of those misconceptions that we have.
Okay, so your final thoughts on this situation, like how can we actually resolve it? Yes, we know that due to this rush, that the deadline that Binance has created, I know a lot of investors in the platform will definitely want to move their assets to another country's currency so that they can actually access their wallets actually. So final thoughts, how do you think going forward the Nigerian regulatory body, the CBN, should address this cryptocurrency platforms in terms of Nigerian using them and investing in them?
I think the first step would be to release the executives. I think like those guys are really being held. I think that's a very tricky place to be in, right? It almost seems like a hostage situation, right? And so it will be very good for those guys to be released and then some sort of negotiations to happen, right? So they're already collaborating, they've taken off the NGM pay, they already started to like drive down the rates on their platform. So there's a willingness to work, and I think like the government to embrace them to dialogue. And I think like it would do Nigeria a lot more good if there's some collaboration on that front, because if the government has a company like Binance on their side, it would really do the exchange rate a lot good, because like they could work together to like do all kinds of things. And also in terms of like sharing documentation as well, I think the company is also, they have on their policies on their website that they're happy to collaborate with law enforcement if there's a need, right? If there's any like, so, and I think they will be happy to do that. In terms of like resolving, I think in terms of a fine, there should definitely be a fine. I think the government is right in that regard. I think in terms of the fine, I think the first fine that we heard is kind of like,
yes,
on
like
the
overall
high
package,
side.
yes,
so on the high side, right?
Like
so
the company's financial worth, actually.
Based on the company's financial worth. So I think there needs to be like some negotiations in terms of like what the fine will be, and then they can resolve this amicably. So those would be my final thoughts.
Okay, thank you for that, Kenechukwu Nwankwo. So I've been discussing with Kenechukwu. He's a fintech expert. He also has 5 years experience in products management and also projects management. Actually, thank you for joining us this morning on Market Insights as we discuss the ban on Binance and the advantages and disadvantages and how it also affects the cryptocurrency trading platform in Nigeria. So let's look at the stock market. Let's look at the currency updates right now, how the Naira is faring against the dollar and the pound sterling and the euro right now. So yes, yesterday there were figures that we looked at and it was quite high, but today, so now on the official market, the dollar is actually selling for 1,490 Naira, and in the parallel markets, the dollar is selling for 1,625 Naira. Now you can see the difference. This is quite high, actually. This is really high, from 1,490 Naira to 1,625 Naira. And in the pound sterling, the currency, in the official markets, the pound sterling Naira is selling for 1,916 Naira, and in the parallel market, it's selling for 2,050 Naira. a wide margin actually. So it's quite high in the parallel markets as usual. And the euro, the Central Bank of Nigeria rates the euro, the naira is selling for 1,640 naira against the euro. And in the parallel market, it's going for 1,720 naira. So it's still very high in the parallel market, just like it was yesterday actually. So we've seen these figures, and yes, we hope that we can actually going down in the future, that this currency rates will actually reduce. But right now it's on the high side, and everybody is still talking about it actually. So these are our foreign exchange rates this morning at the CBN rates and also the parallel markets rates. So that's our package this morning on Markets Insights, where I discussed with my guests Kenneth Chukwu Nwankwo, a fintech expert, as concerning the ban on cryptocurrency on Binance rather, and how it's going to affect the Nigerian economy in a wider aspects actually. And he also says that the fine that was imposed on Binance by the federal government, he hopes that they can reach an agreement, and yes, Binance will have to pay a fine. And this rush for March 8th for Nigerians to convert their assets, yes, it's not so much of a rush because it's going to be done automatically. So most people will not be really affected like that. So I'm quite sure everybody will have done this automatic conversion in a very short period of time, and we hope that there's more communication between our Central Bank of Nigeria and other fintech, other cryptocurrency trading platforms in the country. So that was our package this morning on Markets Insight, and it was good having you watch us while we discuss these issues actually. So join us tomorrow as we discuss more on the commodity market.